Hello students. Today we are going to learn Money and Banking Part 2, that is Chapter 3 of Macroeconomics. So first let's understand that what is theory of demand for money. According to Keynesian theory of demand for money, he was the first who formulated this theory in his book. And in his understanding, he says that there are two questions which needs to be separated. One is why money is demanded, and secondly, what are the key determinants of demand for money. So let's understand what is demand for money. Money is the most liquid form of asset. The demand for money refers to total money which is demanded by the people in the form of cash. So we can say that liquidity is something wherein any assets or anything which can be easily converted into cash is liquid. So this theory is also known as liquidity preference. The demand for money arises because of three motives. And those three motives are: first, transaction motive; secondly, precautionary motive; and third is speculative motive. Now let's understand one by one as to what is transaction, precautionary, and speculative motive. So when we talk about transaction motive, in our daily life or day-to-day life, we are doing n number of transactions, which means we are buying and selling goods and services. So you need to hold the cash to meet up this daily requirements. So holding cash to meet the daily need is called transaction motive. And the need for holding cash is arising because there exists a time gap between the receipt of income and the consumption, which means that when I am earning income and when I'm spending money on something, there is always a time gap. And usually people receive income in certain intervals. Let's say we receive salary either weekly or monthly or fortnightly. So which is to be consumed throughout the period till the next receipt. So this demand for money is a positive function of income. Now talking about the motive for holding cash, which is transaction motive, we need cash for making transaction in day-to-day operation. We need to make certain purchases, pay certain expenses, taxes, dividends. So there is both cash payment and cash receipts. Now this cash payment or cash receipts, it may be raised through bank overdraft or it may be spent on marketable securities. The second motive as to why we need money or why we need to hold money, the second motive is precautionary motive. The demand for money to meet unforeseen or unexpected expenses is known as precautionary demand for money. We all keep certain amount of money aside as an investment or saving so that we can meet up unexpected events in the future. Like the transaction demand for money, precautionary demand for money is also positive function of money. So the cash balances held in reserve or for meeting up various contingencies or emergencies like flood, strikes, or unexpected slowdown in the collection of receivables, sharp increase in cost of raw materials, cancellation of some order of goods. So all these are the situations where we would need money for future security. So these are the precautionary motive. The third is speculative motive. The speculative demand for money refers to the demand for the money that people hold as ideal cash balance to speculate with the aim of earning gain and profit. When we say speculative, we are talking about future assumptions or predictions. So Keynes demonstrated that there is inverse relationship between the rate of interest and speculative demand for money. So we can say that positive and aggressive approach, holding of cash for investing in profitable opportunities as and when they arises. So any opportunity to purchase raw material at reduced price or delay purchase on anticipation of decline in price, buying securities when the interest rate is expected to decline, all these are part of speculative motive, because many a times it happens that we speculate the prices and then make the purchases accordingly. So this is the chart comprising of all the three, that is transaction motive, precautionary motive, and speculative motive, which we have already covered. So when we say transaction motive, which is represented as MT, so the motive is transactive, it is the income determined and interest is inelastic. When we talk about precautionary motive, which is represented as MP, is the income determined and interest inelastic. And when we talk about speculative motive, which is represented as MS, that is the motive is speculative, it is the income determined and interest is elastic. So if we talk about the graphical representation of Keynes theory, the total demand for money is all the three. That is, we add up all the three motives, be it transactive motive or precautionary motive or speculative motive. So MT plus MP plus MS. When we talk about MT, it is nothing but function of income. As income increases, demand transaction motive also increases. And when we talk about precautionary motive, as the income increases, demand for precautionary motive also increases, which directly means that if my income is increasing, I would save more, I would keep more, I'll demand more money for taking precautionary measures or preventive measures. Secondly, as I said that in MT, as the income increases, demand transaction motive also increases, because when my income is increasing, now I would like to spend more money and satisfy all my needs, wants and desires. So as the income increase, my transaction motive or my day-to-day transaction or expenditure will also increase. And lastly, when we talk about MS, that is speculative motive, over here, as the interest rate increases, demand for speculative motive will decrease and vice versa. So when we talk about liquidity trap, the concept of liquidity trap was also an outcome of Keynes' thought, and it is an unfavorable conditions of an economy in which the monetary authority cannot do anything. So as mentioned above, the speculative motive of demand for money, it depends on the market rate of interest. At a lower rate of interest, the bond prices will rise. Let's say if the interest rate is very low, then bond prices are going to rise. So people demand for money will increase, but in an unfavorable economic condition, a sharp reduction in interest rate will lead to a trap which is popularly called by economists as a liquidity trap. We can see that in the picture. This is speculative demand for money. Now, this was all about demand for money. Then what about supply of money? Now, supply of money refers to aggregate stock of money. Currency notes and coins which are held by the people in the country at a particular point of time is part of supply of money. And the authority which regulates, which issues the currencies and coin in our country is RBI. So in India, the monetary authority and RBI together form the monetary authority, And these currency notes which are issued by RBI and the coins which are issued by monetary authority are together known as high powered money. So the stock of money, it has major two components. We are talking about the currency component and we are also talking about the deposit component. We need to understand as to why money supply is important. What is the importance of money supply? Money supply plays a very important role in determining the price level and the interest level. So we can say that it is the money supply or depending on which we can control the inflation and deflation. Growth of money supply helps in acceleration of economic development and price stability. So there must be controlled expansion of money supply, that is no inflation or deflation. For an economy to be successful, for an economy to grow and develop, it is very much necessary that they should try to have a balance, which means that there should not be too much of inflation, nor there should be too much of deflation. So during inflation, the economy, the government, the authority will try to bring down the inflationary trend. And during deflation, the authority will try to bring the economy out of depression so that there is a balance. The supply of money also depends on monetary base and reserve ratio, but not on the interest rate. So the supply of money is vertical. The most important topic, which is measures of money. Since April 77, RBI has adopted 4 concepts of money supply. That is money supply M1, money supply 2, M3 and M4. When we talk about M1, this is the most liquid form of money supply. It includes with the money which is held by the public, the demand deposits and all the other deposits which are with the RBI. So it is termed as the narrow money, and M1 is nothing but C plus DD plus OD, which means the money supply 1 represents cash or currency with the public, demand deposit with all the commercial banks, and other deposits with RBI. This is the most liquid form of money. M2. Now M2 includes all the components of M1. So what were the components of M1? C plus DD plus OD. So that is M1. So in M2, it will include M1, that is all the 3 components, plus it will represent post office saving bank deposits. And when we talk about M3, it would include all the components of M1 and M2. So along with the time deposits of all the banks, and this is a broad money and it is measured as M2, M1 plus TD. Now when we talk about M4, it includes M3, which means M3 is consisting of M2, M2 is consisting of M1. So which means M4 will have all the components of M3 and total deposits with post office saving, excluding NSC, which is National Saving Certificate, and it is measured as M3 plus TOPD, which means total post office deposits. So when we talk about liquidity and ranking of all the 4 money supply, that is M1, M2, M3, M4, we can see that M1 and M2 is narrow money, M3 and M4 is broad money, wherein M1 being having the highest liquidity and M4 with lowest liquidity. Now, when we talk about new measures of money supply, that is M1, M2, M3, initially for the last quarter of 20th century, RBI used to calculate money supply and monetary aggregate in the form of what we just studied, that is M1, M2, M3 and M4. But now the RBI working group on money supply has modified the parameters, and there exist only three monetary aggregates, that is new, M1, NM2 and NM3. We can see that NM1 is the currency with the public, demand deposit with banking system, that is commercial banks and other deposits with RBI. M2 and M3 as explained earlier. Now, what is narrow money? Narrow money refers to all the coins and currency notes with the public, the demand drafts with the bank, and all the other deposits with RBI. So it is represented in M1, or you can also say NM1, the money which is fully liquid and available whenever people need is called narrow money. Why we call it as the most liquid? Because this is the money or the kind of money which can be easily converted into cash, or it is in the form of cash. So narrow money is C plus DD plus OD as explained earlier. Cash or currency which is held by public, demand deposit and other deposits with RBI. Now, what is broad money? Broad money refers to the money that is held in the form of savings and net time deposits, besides the currency and demand deposits. So it is the money which is represented by M3 or NM3, and it includes both full liquid and less liquid money. So it is represented as C plus DD plus SD plus TD. That is cash held by public, demand deposit held by commercial banks, deposits of public held with post office and time deposits with commercial banks. So this was all about money supply, M1, M2, M3, M4, narrow money and broad money. Thank you.